Hey all you Switch fans, welcome back to What's New in the eShop. We're going to take a look at the new releases for the third full week of April 2022. I'll give you what I think are the highlights, and then there'll be a Sizzle Reel for the rest of the games. Alright, starting out on April 20th, we get a port of Star Wars The Force Unleashed. So to be clear, this is actually a port of the Wii version of The Force Unleashed. I have to say, initially, I was pretty disappointed. Back in the day when I had the choice, I chose the Xbox 360 version to play The Force Unleashed, and I really enjoyed that one. So I was kind of confused at first as to why they would choose the Wii version. But the more I went into some forums and some discussion groups about this original Wii version, I found out that there's definitely a very dedicated fan base to it. Of course, the game doesn't look as good as the old Xbox 360 and PS3 games, but it does feature full motion controls for all of that lightsaber action. And it also has a local multiplayer duel mode that also incorporates all those motion controls. So at the very least, I'm definitely interested in maybe actually trying this out for the first time. I think it would have been a more attractive package if somehow they could have actually made it like a double release where it included both versions of the game. But either way, like I said, it releases April 20th for $19.99. Not a great deal, but not too expensive in my opinion either. Alright, moving on to April 21st, which is where we are going to see the vast majority of the releases. First of all, we have a duo of deck building games. First of all, we have Deck of Ashes from A Games. Deck of Ashes is an adventure game with tactical card combat. One character at a time, you lead the cast of anti-heroes on a quest for redemption. Explore the cursed fantasy world and hunt down powerful cards, forge a unique battle deck, and crush your foes. Can you rid the world of the Ash Curse? The general consensus I've gotten on this is that if you are a fan of Slay the Spire and you want more of that type of game, this is going to really suit you well. If you didn't like Slay the Spire, you're not going to like this at all. But the Steam version does have overall very positive reviews. So for fans of the genre, this seems like a solid choice. So Deck of Ashes Complete Edition does release April 21st for $24.99. Also on April 21st, we have another deck building game, Roguebook. Embrace the challenge of a roguelike deck builder with unique mechanics from the developers of Faria and Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering. Build a team of 2 heroes, unleash powerful combos, and defeat legends of the Roguebook. Obviously, having Richard Garfield play a role in the development of this game is a really big deal. I would imagine that the Magic the Gathering fans are going to be super excited about this one. I gotta say, the art in this game is drop-dead gorgeous looking, very slick looking. And this did release on Steam last summer, and it has extremely positive reviews from many users. So Roguebook also releases April 21st for $24.99. So if you like deck builders, I think between those two games, you're really going to have two awesome choices on April 21st. Alright, also on April 21st, we have the release of Ganryu 2. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This comes to us from developer Storybird Studio. This is actually a sequel to a game made for the Neo Geo all the way back in 1999. So this is an extremely long gestating sequel. Obviously, it hasn't been in development that long, but I imagine that there's got to be a core audience that is extremely excited to go back to that universe. The game does take place in a feudal fantasy Japan, has amazing looking pixel art, and should very much appeal to fans of the Shinobi games. And once again, that does release April 21st for $19.99. Alright, also on April 21st, we have The Last Friend. I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago, and right after I published the video, it got delayed for a couple of weeks. But I don't mind reiterating on this one because it looks really good. The Last Friend takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where the dogs are disappearing. And your main character goes all Dr. Dolittle and is able to communicate with the dogs. We'll see our main character go on an adventure where he is recruiting dogs one by one, and his dogs will run his turrets. So the game is actually a genre mashup between a turret-style sort of Plants vs. Zombies style game and also a beat-em-up. You set up your dogs on their turrets, and then you yourself get to play as the main character, smashing the baddies as they're making their way towards you. Looks like a really fun genre mashup, has some really great beautiful art. I am very excited about this one. I think that it is definitely releasing this week. I did actually receive a review key for it, so I would say that's a sign that it's definitely on its way. So The Last Friend releases April 21st for a very reasonable $14.99. Alright, also on April 21st, we have Anuchard. Again, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correct. That comes to us from developer Stellar Null. Anuchard is about a paradise floating in the sky, guarded by 5 magical guardians. Unfortunately, something happens to the guardians, and they leave without a word. The island crashes down into the ground, and only a small bit of it is left behind. It is now up to you, the Chosen One, the Bell Wielder, to take up the Audro spell, to enter the dungeons, and to find the guardians and wake them from their slumber. The bell isn't just a weapon, it's a tool for overcoming puzzles and obstacles. Looks like a fun, top-down, maybe Zelda-style adventure game. Personally though, I think I'm going to wait for some reviews before I give it a full recommendation. I think it looks solid, but it's a little difficult watching the gameplay to see what really sets it apart from other games, but I am hopeful that it will get some great reviews and become worthwhile. But that does release April 21st for a very, again, reasonable $14.99. Also on April 21st, yep, it's going to be a really expensive day, we have Revita from developer Benstar. In Revita, you wake up with no memory of who you are in a mysterious underground subway. All your character knows is that he must make his way up the clock tower. Revita's big gameplay gimmick to set itself apart from other roguelikes is that instead of actual money, you use your health to buy upgrades and purchases. So it sounds like it really creates a very unique pull on knowing how much of your health to give up to continuously upgrade your character. But never fear, it also pulls a very similar mechanic similar to a Hollow Knight, where as you are defeating enemies, you can collect their souls, and after you collect enough souls, you do have the ability to regenerate some health. Revita did release about a year ago on Steam, and it did receive very positive reviews there. Personally for me though, I'm still taking a cautious wait and see. I want to see the reviews for the Switch version. I'm just really curious if those mechanics do enough to set it apart from the myriad of choices of roguelikes we have. But again, fingers crossed, hopefully it'll be a really great port. And that does release April 21st for $16.99. Alright, and my last personal recommendation is also an April 21st released. It is Lumote, the Master Mote Chronicles from developer Wired Productions. Play as Lumote, and your counterpart, Master Mote, has gone corrupt and has taken over this beautiful, lush underwater world. Lumote will be making his way through a myriad of puzzles. In order to pass these puzzles, Lumote has the ability to possess other motes, which are these other bioluminescent creatures. So you'll be taking over these creatures and using their special abilities to make your way through these puzzles. And as you complete these puzzles, you'll be bringing the subsequent areas back to life and full of color. So ultimately, this game is a very beautiful looking puzzle platformer. I think this one has a lot of potential to end up being great, has a great developer behind it. For me though, still gonna wait for some reviews. You just never know with these type of games. But if nothing else, it is definitely beautiful to look at. Lumote does release April 21st for $19.99. Alright, go ahead and sit tight for this sizzle reel of the rest of the week's releases.
When I close my eyes before going into Universium, I think about the moment we were hoping wouldn't end, because I never knew it was my imagination. I never wanted to say what I said, I just wanted an explanation. When I close my eyes before going into Universium, I think about the moment we were hoping wouldn't end, because I never knew it was my imagination.
Alright, so those are the releases for the third full week of April 2022. Some very solid choices. I really think that Lumote, The Last Friend, and Revita all look really great. Let me know down in the comments below what you're thinking of picking up or at least wishlisting this week. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, I hope you have great gaming, tricksters. Bye-bye.